Good morning from Charleston, South Carolina on a freezing cold 44-degree morning, Wednesday, December the, 5th. We are closing in on the end of AEP, and I just want to say to you some words of encouragement. Last night we were all in the office and the phones were just ringing off the hook. And come 6 o'clock, which is unusual for us, we said, you know what, let's just pack it in because we have given everything we possibly could give yesterday, put in a very, very long day. So around 6 o'clock, most of us went home. 2 stayed behind, but it's been pretty physically exhausting. Pretty much everyone has had back-to-back appointments on the hour, every hour. And unlike in past years where it's been spurts and spats, this year it's been very, very consistent. And we've learned a lot of lessons, and we're making notes for next year. We've got to improve our processes, mostly our follow-up processes. And I think I've come to the determination that every single agent in our office needs their own admin person working for them. We had been sharing, an admin person along everybody in the office and then trying to have more admin people in the office in general. But I firmly believe now that as we continue to revise and improve our process for future years based on our pains and struggles in years past and this year, we've determined that every single agent needs their own admin person to follow up. And, Richard, one of the first influences in my Medicare life some 10 years ago now, who just sold his agency for some $28 million or something, he told me a few years ago that they had a process in their office where the sales agent would turn over the case to their internal underwriter, otherwise known as their application writer. The application writer would take the details of the application because at that point, the plan has already been identified, the rate's already been identified, whether or not they're going to get approved is already a known factor. So the salesperson in the office, best practice that they came up with, then turns it over to the internal underwriter who writes the application. And it's a lot better for that first person who's the point man, point woman, to get back into the analysis game with the next person. See if what they're best able to do, they're going to be best doing. And it's not, if you think about it, your best personality in the office, the ability to communicate effectively what the best results for a person are, the ability to spur that person into action by being an influencer, which is really one of the best traits of our people that they can have, that is lost on that person also sitting in the seat and writing the application. It seems like nuance, but when you start growing the scale, you got to look at what is the best use of that person's time. Let's take, for instance, there's a lady in my office, Kimberly. For those who came to see her in Nashville, she gave an awesome presentation on how she does the phone apps, how she does the sale on the phone, and that presentation, by the way, is available under the Nashville post at Medicare Agent Training. But when Kimberly was talking, it became more and more apparent that, gosh, I don't want this person on the phone doing anything other than sharing that personality, that helpful, giving, empathetic personality that people respond to like crazy. The biggest challenge we have this year is all of Kim's clients love her so much that they want to call and visit with her as a person, having nothing to do with Medicare, because she's made that kind of a connection to them. So at some point when you're having thousands of clients as an agent, even an internal agent in the office, everybody loves her so much they just want to call and visit. It's a great problem to have, and they refer people constantly to her. But yeah, it's become readily apparent that we've got to get her just doing that initial assessment, the screening, the explanation when necessary of what benefits are going to be best, make that recommendation, and then hand that whole thing off to an admin person who can, as a licensed agent, complete the application, do the follow-up with underwriting, check in with them repeatedly, and then the follow-up stuff that goes out, whether it's voicemails or cards, can all be in the initial agent's name to maintain that continuity of the sale. But that's one of the things we're going to be implementing for next year. Every agent's going to have their own admin person, God willing, and everything goes as planned. So more admin people. We can't, and this is just a full transparency and a failure on my part, we have not been able to get back to all of the thousands of clients we've had from years past this year. We've tried really hard to do so, but I'm not sure at what point, it could, for lack of a better word, and I know this is a stupid word, but I'm grasping here, you know, it could break the bank to have enough people to sit there and visit with and go over minute details and minor changes in someone's rate from one year to the next. So this year we've really tried to prioritize. We've tried to triage those people who are getting significant rate increases. Maybe they're with an old third-tier carrier that we've been seeing doing 12 and 15% rate increases, most of which I've covered on this Facebook page and Medicare agent training, trying to move those people out of those third-tier or, you know, second-string companies and move them to the bigger ones where there is more stability, apparently. And we've just been trying to triage those people, get back to as many of them as possible. But I really believe we could have had another 20 agents in our office just to stay in touch with all of our existing clients and work it completely like it should be done. You know, identifying holes in their strategy where we have the solution, they have the need. We just need the time to put both of us together on the phone and express to them the solution that we have for their need. So many times we'll talk to somebody who's called in and they say, oh, by the way, do you have this? Do you have that? Well, yes, we do. Well, why didn't you tell me about it? And the failure on our part to staff up as much, and it's not lost on us. We've experienced that with a couple of the carriers this year. You know, it's challenging this year. We've had ads out there to hire people, and the struggle has been everybody's hiring people. One of the drawbacks of a great economy, I guess. But everybody's trying to hire these same good people. So we could have had 20 more people and still been just as busy, if not just on the front lines, catching all the phones. And one of the things that I reiterated at our Monday meeting this week was, if you're not answering that phone, and we've been doing everything we can to get on the phone as soon as it rings, but if it goes to voicemail, everybody in the office is occupied. We actually have extra help in the office answering the phones. But if everyone's occupied, by the time it slows down enough where you could call that person back and say, hey, I'm so sorry I missed your call, guess what they're going to say? Especially now. They're going to say, look, I needed an application written. I learned the information from your material, or you'd spoken with me before about it, but I needed it done right now because they put it off like most people do. And you weren't available, so I just called random agent number, 526. So I hope that at least some of you have benefited from our overspill, as we've not been able to get, and it's another full transparency setback this year, not being able to answer the phone as much as I would have liked. And every time there's a missed call, it comes up on my screen that, this call was abandoned. Does it go to voicemail? Yeah. During this time of the year, are they going to leave a voicemail and wait for a call back? No, absolutely not. So we've got to increase our capacity. Now, some agents have been telling me, like, you keep talking about how busy things are and you can't keep up. My gosh, I'm just trying to get the phone to ring. There's something flawed in your strategy if that's your case. Now, I've never been accused of beating around the bush or BSing anybody, so I'll just tell you flat out. If your phone's not ringing off the hook right now, your marketing strategy is flawed. And just a word of encouragement to you, now's the time, as soon as Friday night happens and our party to celebrate my birthday and the end of AEP and our eventual victory over Japan, which started on, ironically, Pearl Harbor Day. But anyway, when all that's done and we're looking at this next week, anybody that's had a strategy problem during this year really has to focus, double down on, how am I going to get my phone to ring? And there is no shortage of 54 million plus people on Medicare. And that's to say nothing of the 11,000 supposedly we've all heard joining it every day. I'm talking about the 50 plus million people that are on it right now. That should be our focus, because there are so many clients out there that are orphans. There are one-hit wonder agents that come in, write them one time and disappear. They are desperately seeking you. What are you doing to get in front of those people? And everyone's different. Some people have a strategy of employing telemarketers, consistent, dripping on new people, constant funnel being filled all the time, and following up with those people in a consistent way. It absolutely works. Gosh, we've deployed over 650 telemarketers now, and they're out there working, never running out of people to call, and consistently, those are the producers. I see this because I look at the production reports.
Watch out,
I see.
vehicle stopped on road ahead.
Thank you, Waze. I see people who have ordered the telemarketer and have already put their contracts, like with me, for a company or two, and you see their production just increase and increase. And it's constant feedback loop of, well, that works. You put in X, you add Y as the labor, and you get the end result there. But for other people, they're just hit or miss. They'll do a direct mail drop, which I don't fully believe in. I know it still works, but the cost per acquisition of a client is so dang high right now with direct mail. So they'll do a direct mail drop, they'll write some applications, and this is kind of typical in our agent world. They'll drop off after they write however many apps they're going to do. They don't follow up and squeeze every minute of lifeblood out of those potential leads. But at the same time, they spend their money that they make on those leads rather than reinvesting so they can go out there and do another mail drop. One of the things I want to focus on this coming year is, in addition to the Medicare changes, and we have some coming up, we have new opportunities starting as early as January, which I'm excited to bring to you, and how you can best employ that in your business and take advantage of it, January to March 31st. Not only the Medicare opportunities that we have, but also the business building and basically running your business. How do you set up your business for success? And 90% of setting up your business for success that I've seen in both interviewing and working with agents who ultimately fail because they don't implement what the heck we talk about. And then those agents who actually take it to heart. And when I say, look, drop everything in your entire life, put everything on the back burner. I don't care what your interest is, if it's in, football season, college football, if it's PlayStation, or you're in a bowling league, or you're interested in politics. Every dang thing besides Medicare has to be second right now. You have to be that squirrel that puts away every single nut that you can during this finite period of AEP, because I know many agents that just work AEP and then vacation the rest of the year. Why? Because it can be that lucrative. And certainly I'm of the philosophy of get rich slow, build residual income over a long period of time. But during AEP is not the time to have any other interest. And you say that's unhealthy. Well, you have to have a balanced life and all that. All that's bullcrap. I'm telling you, if there's a gathering season out there, and there is, if there's a harvest to be taken and you don't get out there in the field and take it, it's going to die on the vine. And that's exactly what I see many agents doing right now. They're telling me, I'm going to go pursue this. I'm going to go take off and spend a few days down here. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? So getting back to it, I think it's going to be imperative that this coming year on MedicareAgentTraining.com, we interview and spend more time with people who are quality business-minded people in setting up and running and managing daily a small business. That it's in, hiring people, training people, motivating people, building systems to refine your lead generation process and your follow-up process, because irrespective of the niche that you're in, whether it's life insurance, Medicare, plumbing, whatever it is, if you don't have the basic systems down pat, then you could be the best salesperson all day. And I know many awesome salespeople, but they can't get out of their own way to run a business. Gary Vaynerchuk very often says, there are some wonderful people out there who have the delusion of thinking that they're an entrepreneur. And they're wonderful people. They're great. They're skilled at 1, 2, or 3 things, but it takes 10 to run your entire business yourself. If you're great at 1, 2, or 3 of those things, maybe, don't be offended. It wasn't me that said this, but I agree with it. Don't be offended. But maybe if you're great at 1, 2, or 3 of the 10 things necessary to be an entire business owner, maybe you should go employ those skills somewhere else. Partner with someone who has strengths that are not yours. Partner with somebody who needs your strengths in their business, or just work for someone who sees the value in what you do and can pay you accordingly. The highest paid people in the world are salespeople, believe it or not. And that's one skill that you can teach to a degree, but sometimes you just got to have it. And if you've got it, you could pretty much write your own ticket. The unfortunate part is people who are great salespeople who also think they're great business people. And to some extent, you can learn some of those business building and business running skills. That's what we're going to focus on in the coming year. But it's just frustrating to see people who are great, get anybody on the phone that could sell ice to an Eskimo, but they can't get out of their own way with spending all the money that they have, reinvesting, knowing what to do with their money, running an organization, scaling up, hiring, motivating, coaching, and employing a business so you can start growing as a team. And I'm telling you, it's not something that you're born with, the business running part. It's something that you learn after failing. So, I started this by saying our failures this year, my failures, because I'm the one that's responsible, are blatantly obvious to me this year. We've got to grow our systems to more support people. Certainly more salespeople is always a plus, but we've got fantastic, awesome salespeople. Our clients love and adore, but they're spending too much of their time doing non-sales related activity, and that's costing the organization as a whole. There is no greater thing that I can do as a business owner than to lay down my life for the salespeople. Why? Because they are the most important lifeblood of the organization. Anything that they're doing that is not 100% focused on their God-given gift and their talent for influencing somebody to make a change for the better, anything at all, and I'm talking writing the application, calling to follow up, getting underwriting requirements, requests for information, all that stuff should be on an admin role. And that's one thing that I'm going to go headstrong into January correcting. So we're hiring for good people, going to put the word out there and turn our marketing engine toward, and there's a guy here in Charleston area, his name is Jeff Cook Real Estate. And this guy, much younger than I am, spends $1 million a month on advertising in the local community for real estate. Freaking phenomenal marketing guy. But one thing that I've noticed here as this economy has gotten so great, thank you, President Trump, one of the things that I've noticed is he's turned his marketing engine not just to give me your listing for real estate, but we're hiring. Here's what it is to be working for our organization. So we've got to do that here. Get focused on getting more people in here, because if your marketing's great and your phone's ringing off the hook and you don't have people to catch them and clean them, you got a problem. So we've identified that as our problem here. Our salespeople are overworked. And this is indicative of the AEP anyway. But our salespeople are overworked with writing applications. We can't keep up with the admin part of following up. Don't have enough admin people. But I love being transparent, telling you the truth. And I have failed this year in getting enough people in here to follow up so that our stress level of the salespeople can just be merely meeting the opportunities as they appear in the calendar, as opposed to following up on things that they should only touch it once and be done with it. Once the client is convinced, once the need is identified and you've proposed the solution and they hand that off to an admin person, that salesperson should not ever have to touch that case again, except to follow up in a meaningful way to the client. Let the client know, hey, there's continuity between the time I made a recommendation and the time that you got everything approved. Follow up with them and say, I told you I would do something. I did something. I did exactly what I said I was going to do. Now let's take it to the next level, and I'm going to be with you forever going forward. And by the way, who else do you know that I can help in the same way? But I've identified that as our best thing to do going forward. We're going to do it. And just got it here to the office in that little dark room up there. I don't know if you can see it. Just above the brick. That's my office on the corner, which I'm never at because it's the corner office. I'm usually in the bullpen like with everybody else. I want to encourage you. It's almost over. A couple more days left. If you're in Charleston, come by the birthday party. It's going to be fun. We got a band coming and catered food and stuff. It's going to be neat. Our team's going to be celebrating the end of AEP, and the neighbor's going to be mad because we're having a band on our pool deck. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. Eugene is 18 years younger than me to the day. His birthday is also Pearl Harbor Day. Imagine that. So we're having a 2-for-1 celebration on the birthday thing and an AEP celebration. It's going to be lots of fun. Listen, wherever you are in your business, it can only get better if you stay plugged in, keep your head right. 90% of doing this business, doing it successfully, making millions of dollars in this business legitimately rather than saying you're a millionaire. The legitimate way to get there is changing this right here. Every day you've got to invest deeply the time invested necessary to change your programming. Your programming changes first. Controlling what you think about, controlling where you put your thoughts and your energy, and then taking action based on what you know is the best practice. God bless you all in your business. I hope you have a wonderful rest of AEP. We've got a lot of exciting things coming up to share with you for the new year. And I'm going to share with you continually as our business continues to improve, as we continue to learn from other top producers, and hopefully it'll come through and influence you in your life in some positive way. Let me know how your AEP has gone. Put something in the comments below this. Y'all have a great day. Got to go in now. Bye-bye.